All right, gang, welcome back to our Ronida Island Preservation Challenge. One thing I forgot to do in the last episode, one of the bigger things I was supposed to do in the last episode and completely forgot to do it, so we're going to do it here before we jump to the next month, is put down a house. A house was part of the actual objectives at the beginning, and it just completely slipped my mind given everything else that we were dealing with, so we need to put something down. Now, I can really put anything down I want right now. Obviously, the big end goal is to have the dream home over here, right? So, for the time being, it can literally just be anything. A bench. Why is that not? I guess it looks like a bench now that I see it, but like on the little image on the left side, it doesn't. It didn't really look like that much of a bench to me. So I'm kind of tempted to put down the small house. You know, everyone uses this thing, but I think for the time being, I might go a little bit different here. I might just go with like a bench or something. Okay, I thought I owned this land here, but I guess not. It let me mow it, so I thought I owned it, but oh well. Well, okay, I can put it up against the edge of the greenhouse here. I'm just going to put it right here for now. Again, it'll probably be moved. Well, it's going to be moved later on, but at least we now have somewhere where we can sleep. It's not the most comfortable thing. We're out in the open air, but, you know, if worse comes to worse and we need to sleep, we can always sleep in here, technically, right? This is dry. We're going to hear the goats and everything, but it's dry, out of the weather, so worse comes to worse, we can sleep in there on the ground, but, yeah, let's rest to the next month, and then, we'll get started. All right, gang, welcome to September, 8:02 a.m. Nothing really changed in the used market, so I was hoping something new would pop out, but nothing really did. So we're going to start by just topping off the water here to the greenhouse and to the goat pen here. We've got a pallet of saplings, which we can go sell, and we have the start of a pallet of goat milk. There's not a whole lot in there. Unfortunately, goats do take a while to actually make any money, so I'm making it even more difficult on myself, but that's okay. The meadow grass did start growing though, which is great as well, right? So the goats have the meadow grass to eat on as well. A lot of that grass there, it should honestly be probably plenty for them for quite a while. But yeah, so today, what I would like to honestly do today is probably put down another greenhouse or two. I'm not positive if I'm going to keep doing the saplings or not. I think I will, just because they are an inexpensive greenhouse, and it's definitely going to be helpful. I thought about maybe potentially doing rice on the land here. I've kind of changed my mind since the last episode on that. There's a couple reasons for that. But, yeah, so we'll see. I guess we'll see. But I don't think I'm going to do rice on here. I've got some plans to do a series that's going to involve some heavy rice here that'll likely be running at the same time as this series, so or very close to it if not, so we'll probably hold off on doing that. I like to change it up on my series. I don't like to use the same thing every time, so for today, I should say, we need to look and see about maybe potentially working on some fields. Now, we're going to have to mow up some more grass, and we can just stack the more grass over there with everything else, but we're going to need a plow. Now, I can also obviously lease a plow. It's not going to be a problem for me to lease one. And that is likely what I'm going to do. 260 horsepower for that one. But I know I can go backwards with it. We've figured that out, right? It's a bit of a cheat, but they're just so expensive. That's why I'm kind of tempted to use this little tiny one here. Which I've used many times. I used it in the Vintage Survival series. I loved it. Well, let's think about it here in a minute. For the time being, what we need to do, though, is we need to get some more grass mowed so we can actually start planning out where our first field is going to be. You know, we've got a relatively decent-sized piece of land here. It's not a ton of land, but it's a decent-sized piece of land. So let's see if we can figure out, you know, exactly where the first field's going to be, right? Probably part of it would be... Honestly, with this hill, as steep as it is, I mean, it's not super steep, but with as steep as it is, it's going to be hard for me to put any kind of buildings right here. So I think it might be a smart decision to kind of put a field that kind of runs parallel here. Well, I guess kind of parallel to this side of the fence here, and going down towards the ocean there. I think that is probably our safest bet. Yeah, I think that makes the most sense. So, we could do a really long, skinny field going this way, but then we're getting into some flat area down here, and this is going to be some prime real estate for other buildings, I think. And then down here, it's going to slope a little bit towards the sand here, so we could absolutely make one kind of on the edge here. I think that makes a little sense as well. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's at least mow up against the edge here of the line of the of our land, if you will, as much as we can. We're going to have to be very careful when we do plow, though. We don't want to run into the issue where we're kind of cutting across into the other land, and then we don't own it and we can't harvest it. That would be a bit disastrous, right? So we don't want that to happen, but don't have access to it. Yes, I understand. I'm moving over. All right, how's everyone doing today? I hope you're all doing well. The first episode, rough episode. I heard a couple of things from other individuals as well, saying that they were starting to take this on, and it is a rough beginning. It really is. Of course, you've come up with quite a challenge here, quite a very difficult challenge as well. But you know what? I think it's going to be fun. I think we're going to make the best of it. I think we're going to definitely struggle here at the beginning, but I think eventually we will break through those struggles and really start to make some serious progress and start to see the positives and of all the work that we're putting into this. So I think it's going to be good, man. I think it's going to be good. We just need to give it a little bit more time to get going, right? Yeah, I kind of went a little bit off tangent there, didn't I? But it's somewhere in that region. Okay. And then I really need to smooth this out some more, but we only got $14,000, and I definitely want to put down at least one more greenhouse today, so I got to be very careful of doing any of that. This is not going to be straight, but I'm going to try to keep it straight, utilizing the bottom left-hand corner like all of you have mentioned to me that I should be utilizing. It's not perfect, though. I'm on, console. I have to use controller, right? So any slight tap to the analog stick, and I'm really moving pretty severely, so I'm just going to try to keep it relatively close, I guess. And I'm just going to turn here. Yeah, I think that would be a pretty good, solid first field here. It's large. Doesn't mean it has to stay this way for the entirety of the series, right? Once we start buying more land and expanding more, we can obviously modify and change things as we wish. It's just going to impact our overall top dollar money line, but it doesn't really make that big of a difference. I've said it many times. I'll say it many times again. When I start a series, I have an idea for things, but once we continue to grow and expand, some of those ideas that I had early on don't really make sense anymore, and it makes sense for us to spend a little bit of extra money to modify or change the way things look, because overall it's going to benefit us, right? So now I'm trying to figure out, I really don't think there's anything else I can do with grass, but I'm trying to figure out if there's anything else I can do with grass. I just don't think there is. I mean, we can't sell the grass as it is. Bales are not considered a pallet, right? So I can't just sell the grass as it is. I haven't had a chance to talk to Krusty. I will be talking to him in actually a little bit. I'm recording this Tuesday night. So I'll be able to, we normally do one of the recordings for the one tile challenge tonight, so I'll be talking to him in about an hour-ish or so. So I'll probably ask him about the whole gray area, which is what I brought up in the first episode, which is, I'm pretty positive, I didn't go check it, I should have, but I'm pretty positive there is a relatively recent mod that's on Mod Hub that allows you to take crop harvests, whether it's, you know, corn or wheat or barley or whatever it may be, whatever you're using, sorghum, soybeans, whatever, and puts them into pallet form. Which is kind of a little bit of a loophole, a way to get around it. I would assume that that is probably against the rules. But since it wasn't ever specifically stated, it just was stated that they have to be in a pallet form. That's the only thing that the harbor can take, or the boat can take, or however you want to word it. I feel like that's a way we could get around that a bit. But perhaps we shouldn't even consider it. Perhaps we shouldn't even think about that. Perhaps that would make it too easy. This is the last strip of this grass, then we'll get it all baled up, and then we'll get it loaded. And kind of probably drop it right off over there with the rest of the sheep and, or the goats, excuse me. The sheep enclosure is what it is, but the goats. Honestly, it might be smart for us to consider putting down more animals, too. The problem with that, though, is we're not really going to have a way to make any kind of TMR, so we'd have to buy it outright right now. Now, if I put in some, you know, baby cows, they should be able to eat grass, you know, without having the TMR, right? And be fine until they become an adult. But eventually, you know, no matter which way we cut it, we are going to need that TMR. And really, we want those cows because, or pigs, either one, really. Cows would be the easiest, I think, and the most profitable. Because we'll take the slurry and the manure, and we can utilize it on our fields, right? You got to remember, there is no, we're not allowed to utilize liquid or solid fertilizer. We're not allowed to utilize herbicide, and none of that can be used. It has to be all more organic approach, which means we really need those cows because we're going to need that simply for the ability to gain some fertilizer. We're not going to get any fertilizer otherwise, right? So, the only other fertilizer we're going to get is from, you know, making it a cover crop or a grass field, right? That's the only other way we're going to get any kind of level of fertilization on our fields. So you got to think about that as well whenever we go and, you know, buy a seeder or a drill or a planter or whatever you want to call it. Any of the ones that have, you know, a fertilizer, solid fertilizer attachment to it, or you know, addition to it, that you can put that down, we're not allowed to do that, right? So even if we buy one of those, we can't put any solid fertilizer in it. Seeds are allowed. We are allowed to get seeds, so I guess that's one thing. There are some productions I know of that we could take some certain things and create seeds with them. I think that would make a lot of sense when we get a little bit further along and are a little more established than we are right now, right? The ground here does some kind of like a weird thing. To me, it looks like there's still grass on the ground in those little spots, but it's not. I've gone over it multiple times on the first episode, and it doesn't allow you to pick any of that up. So I don't know why it does that, but it's got a bit of a weird look to it. Makes me think I'm missing stuff, and I'm really not. So, if we look at seeders, because ideally we'd like to, you know, get this field plowed up, and maybe if we can, you know, get something in the ground here relatively soon. I don't have a whole lot of cheap things, right? My difficulty on console is I don't have the luxury of all of the mods that PC players have. It's not a complaint, it's just the fact of life. I'm just giving you the facts. So, you know, I don't have as many things out there to choose from, so it is even more difficult, I think, for me than it would be for anybody on PC for this type of a series, because we have a limitation. We also have a very extreme limitation on the used market, right? We don't get whatever that mod is that allows you to have, you know, like 100 things in the used market at all times. We don't have any of that, right? We get 4 or 5 things every month, and that's it. That's all we get. So you could ask Crestu about that. He's been suffering with that in the competitive one-tile challenge, because since we're, you know, playing cross-platform, I'm on Xbox, Rusty's on PlayStation, and Crestu's on PC. We're getting a very good mixture of all the different versions, stylized versions of FS25, and he's been struggling with the fact, well, maybe not so much now, he's probably used to it now, but early on he was struggling with the fact that there's only a couple of things out there to choose from. Like, it's very minimal. Alright, fold this up. I think we're going to have to start really considering leasing things at this point. You know, if we've bought everything up to this point, and I truly think we needed all of these things because the grass fields are going to continue to regrow until we get stuff put into the ground, right? So, we definitely need to figure out something to do with this all this extra grass we're gonna have. We need more animals. I'm kind of the problem with it is the animals are expensive to buy, right? That's the big problem. So Alright, I'm gonna flip around here, because last time I caused a lot of mayhem. I'd like to be these a little bit straighter. Well, I guess I'm gonna pick all these up too. Whatever, that's fine. We can realign them, that's fine. That's actually probably a pretty good idea. I forgot to switch it to transport mode. But this is probably a better idea anyway, because they looked like a mess. Alright, perfect. Now, we can replace these, hopefully. Set them in a good spot. Now, we're going to have to probably sell the goat milk and the there we go. It's not perfect, but you know what? They're straight, so we'll take it. We're not going to make a ton of money off of this because, so the saplings there, right? There's only 25 pieces there. I think that's based off 1,000 pieces. So obviously, this is not going to be a ton of money, but we will at least get an idea of exactly how much money we can make, at least at current, with the number of goats we have until they reproduce. You know, how much money we're going to make off of one pallet, because that's pretty much probably all we're going to get every month from this one greenhouse. And whatever this is, 53 liters of goat milk. We'll know exactly how much money we're going to get every month until we get more goats, right? Or another greenhouse. There's 5 of them in there. They are able to reproduce. I don't remember. It's a long time for goats, I think, before they can reproduce. Yeah, that's 20%. So there you go. We've got 4 more months before they're going to reproduce. So let's take these to the sell point. And let's see how much money we get. It's not going to be much. It's going to be a very, very small amount of money. But you know what? Every little bit right now counts. Every little bit counts. All right, this is the sell point. I had to figure out exactly where the sell point was. I thought it was over here on the right, but I was like, oh, there might be a second one, but I didn't think there would be, actually. But everything here should sell easily. Yep. Okay, so we're going to make $423 a month. That is not that much money. But you know what? We need the money, right? We really do need the money. So it could be worse. It could be worse. Now, we've got a lease, or at least lease, some kind of a plow. We were looking at them earlier. I guess we could do a cultivator too, technically. There are some inexpensive cultivators that I have in here. So maybe that 451 is the way to go here. That's probably the best option for us, if it even allows us to create a field, though. I'm not positive if that one will allow us to create a field. It didn't really look like it would allow it. Sure doesn't look like it, so... I know I have some installed. I think it's these. I think these, even though they don't say it, I think these do allow it. I think. At least I think it's those. I'm going to drop this off. I'll head back to the shop. I'll get us a plow, and we'll get started. Okay, we're pulling back up here. I ended up just leasing this plow. It literally was $127 to lease it. So, in my opinion, it was just the best choice for us right now. So, that's what we went with. So, yeah, I think I'm going to go... How big do we want to make this field? Maybe I should have started at the other end. I think I'll start somewhere in this vicinity. We might extend it back that way, but it starts to flatten out somewhere in this range here. So I'm kind of tempted just to see, you know, how long it takes us to make a field from around here up to there and kind of square it off, or rectangle it off, I guess, in this instance. I don't want to put it too close, right? I mean, we're pretty close right now, in my opinion, so I think we're going to try to stick with this and go with it. Like I said, I've used this plow many, many times in the past. I really do like it. It's definitely my favorite, I think, of the smaller plows that we have at our disposal on Mod Hub. I just think it's an excellent plow. It really is. Now, we are struggling to get this done. We are going at a 2-mile-per-hour pace here. This is not the most ideal situation for us. Now, I might be, you know, a little bit too far over here. One way we could figure that out is by painting the ground. However, I'm not quite sure I want to paint the ground because it's going to cost money. All right, now we're cruising all of a sudden. We got up that little hill and now we're cruising. I do think we can go over a little bit further than what I've done here. But I'm a little concerned to go over too much further. And I'm actually, you know, I like to have my stuff very symmetrical, or well, symmetrical is not really, more of a grid pattern, I guess is really what I should try to say here. All right, we can't even get out of that area. Wow. Okay. Okay, so we are just spinning our wheels here. This is not ideal. That hill is causing some issues there. But, yeah, so in this case, if the edges aren't perfectly, you know, pristine, right on, like, you know, straight, like I normally try to keep them, I'm not that concerned about it, because eventually, with this challenge, and the size of this challenge, and how big the map is, it's not really going to make a difference, right? We're going to be modifying these. We're going to be making them bigger. Like, they're not going to stay the same size that they are. So, in this instance, I'm not as concerned if I don't have a perfect rectangle, square, whatever it is I'm looking for, right? I don't care as much, so... I'm going to go a little bit further than where I did at the start over there. I didn't really move there, and somehow I wasn't getting that edge. Weird. Alright, I say it about there, and then we'll come back across. It's not a huge extension, but it is a bit of an extension. We'll take it. So let's get to work getting the rest of this done here, gang. It's going to take a little bit of time, but it'll be a nice field when it's done, and then it's just going to be a matter of us getting something in the ground here. More than likely, a sorghum or a wheat or something like that. Something that I can feed chickens, probably. And something that's going to give me straw, which is going to be needed for TMR, right? So, something along those lines, because I think that's really where we need to go next. Until we get, you know, the cows, I mean, we're going to be really struggling to get any kind of a good yield out of any field we put in. And evidently, once this has been plowed up, as you just saw there, we are struggling to even plow the actual field. We are just sinking into the ground. These things are not great for us, unfortunately. Just sinking into it. So this is not going to bode well when it comes time to replow this, although I don't necessarily have to replow it because periodic plowing is not on. So once we do it once, we don't necessarily have to do it again. We can just cultivate it. Problem will become that we will, if we don't plow, we will get lots of weeds that we are going to have to then need a hoe and or a weeder to, you know, remove those because we can't utilize herbicide, right? So, there's a lot to think about, man. There's a lot to think about in this series. This is a doozy. Already in our Discord, I don't think he's seen it yet, but I already yelled at Crust2. I said, "Why did you make such a challenge that sounded so good, and I'm already struggling?" It'll be a good conversation tonight when we're starting to work on the 1 tile challenge. Anyway, let's get to work. Okay, that's all done. Now, honestly, I would love to put down some cows. The problem right now is most of the cow enclosures that we could put down, they're $15,000 at a bare minimum, I think. I don't think we have anything cheaper than that. I need to go out and mod hub, see if I can find anything else, but from what I remember, there's not a whole lot else out there that's cheaper than that. There might be one, maybe. It's probably a breeding one. Most of those probably that are 15,000 that are already there are breeding ones anyway, right? And that might be what we have to do for the time being. Obviously, we'd love to have milk, but yeah. And I'm kind of considering if I should, just keep that lease on right now, because it probably will be, in the long run right now, at least a little bit cheaper. If we go back down here to the plows really quick and pull this up just to kind of show you what I'm talking about here. So the base cost is 50, per work day is 25, per work hour is 52, so maybe not. Yeah, you know what? Let's get rid of it. It's not that expensive. We can lease it again whenever we need it. All right, so that's returned. We got a little bit of goat milk started again. It's not going to be enough to really do anything. In the last episode, we talked about how, I like to change things up and not utilize the same things. I did do some more research out there. There's just really not a ton out there for us in regard to, greenhouses on ModHub that are different than what I have. So I'm kind of tempted to either put down a cricket farm or put down a couple of the prickly pear cactus productions, or greenhouses, excuse me, because they'll provide us with a decent chunk of change, and that's something we desperately need right now. So I think what I want to look at here, because I don't remember from the prickly pear perspective, I do not remember exactly how much they provide without them being marmalade. I don't think it's a ton. Actually, it is a ton, 1,170. So that's actually a lot. And the crickets are around the same price, I think. I utilize those a lot, or for a long time, I should say, in the one-tile challenge. Yeah, 1983, and they pretty much stay at a more consistent rate, as you can see, 1980 to 1983. So they're something we could sell every single episode. So I think, given that understanding, I am going to put down a cricket greenhouse. Now, I don't know exactly where I want to put this at. So down here, we could have extended this field, and maybe we still do it later on. I don't know, but since it is flat down here, I'm kind of considering putting something else down here. I was thinking maybe the cows down here, potentially. Because I think what we could do is kind of line some cricket or line some greenhouses going this way with the field a bit. Like, obviously, like I said, this might all change later on, but I see the problem is I don't want to cut off too much room to get into there, though. All right, let's go about here. Man, I couldn't have picked a more perfect spot. I was a little concerned after I put it down that it was going to cut into the field we just plowed up, but I couldn't pick a better spot there. Now, we do need to remove it and smooth that area out a little bit. You can see it's kind of modified the land a bit there. So we just need to bring this out a little bit here, and then we can smooth out the edges there. Just don't want to go too far with it. Alright, and I don't want to spend too much money either, right? Not selling points. Greenhouses, there we go. Now, can I do it again, though? Can I put it in the perfect spot again? I don't know, probably not. Well, we're going to go with it there, regardless if it's right or wrong. We're going to go with it there. And then I'm just going to smooth out that edges there a little bit, like I said, just to make it a little bit easier for us to drive up there. Spend a little bit more money on this, but that's okay. Like I said, this is going to provide us with about $1,000 every single month, which is going to be huge. I mean, that is going to make us a lot of money, man. In the long run, this is definitely going to help. So, unfortunately, we had to break the rule that I like to try to keep as much as possible and not utilize the exact same things, just because there's nothing really out there. I looked at the greenhouses. There's nothing really out there for us. So it is what it is. Now, I'd love to get something in the ground today. I'm not sure we're going to have the time to do it, but I would love to get something in the ground. We don't have a ton of money right now, either. Let's get some more water. I think that greenhouse actually holds a decent amount of water, I'm pretty sure. And I'm pretty sure also if we had a heavier weight on the front of this, we probably would have been okay with the plowing of going up the field there. It's just I think the weight is unfortunately just not quite heavy enough. Considering all the weight that was on the back of the tractor, right? I mean, you can clearly tell just by doing this alone right here, we're struggling. So maybe it was smarter for me to spend the extra $2,000 or whatever it was on the four-wheel drive version of this tractor. Maybe that would have been a smarter choice, but I was trying to save us money, and as you can clearly tell, we're struggling. We are struggling for money already. Not being able to sell the grass, it's a serious issue. Put the crickets on. Let's get them going. Yeah, it holds 10,000 liters of water, so we're going to have to do a few trips here filling this thing up. All right, this should be the last one here. Now, I think the problem we're going to have, and it's already a problem, is we don't have any money left, man. Maybe this wasn't the smartest choice. I don't know. It's going to take us a while to get the money back we put into this, but at the same time, it's an extra $1,000 every month as we move forward. And really, if we didn't have that, I think we'd be in a worse spot. Now, I'd like to get this field drilled today, but I honestly think I'm going to save it for the next episode. We are going to be struggling big time next episode. We should hopefully have about $1,500 coming into the bank account next month, but we are going to lose a little bit of money overnight from fees. So we're going to be struggling. We're going to have $5,000 to figure out a way to get this field drilled, and then the problem becomes once we do get it drilled, how are we going to harvest the thing? I don't know. I don't know the answers to all these things. We may be failing already, but we will figure it out as we move along. I'm going to leave the episode at this point. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you smash the like and subscribe button. In the case you have yet to do so, they are free to do. They help me out an absolute ton. If you have any thoughts, questions, comments, or ideas, feel free to let me know down below in the comments. I'm happy to get back to you on those. Thanks to my members. Cannot thank them enough. If you want early access to videos like this one, including the competitive one-tile challenge, there is a link down below for you to check out. Discord link is down there as well. Make sure you check that out. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.